Hello and welcome to this crochet tutorial where we're going to make another potato monster, but this time he's got some pants on. I made one on my channel and it seems to be very successful with people who are interested in creating small characters. This one will be a little challenge with the change of color. But you'll notice that we only have 3 rows of color change for our pants, and our feet are in black like the bottom of our pants here. Remember how I had a secret and how we had our 5 double crochet popcorn as the ball of the hands? Well, we'll be using that same technique in the making of this one. The arms are a little bit longer with the single crochet on the chain stitch. You want to know how to attach them? No sewing. So let's see what our materials are going to be. We have our brown for our potato. We have black, blue, red, yellow, and a little bit of white. The hook size that we'll be using is a 7mm. We'll need a pair of snippers or scissors, 1 stitch marker, a yarn needle, and 30mm safety eyes. I painted these and I do sell them. If you're interested, contact me and I can sell you a pair. If you choose to make your own, you can order them on AliExpress, or for quicker delivery, you can order through Amazon. Let's begin. Before I begin any project, I always like to pull out an ample amount of yarn to make sure that my tension remains the same. So I encourage you during the making of this project to always have an ample amount of yarn out ready for you to crochet at the time you need it. Now, these first couple of rows, you're probably going to hate me, but I'm hoping that my light is bright enough. It shows that it is on my camera so that you can see the stitches, but I think saying the stitches will help you as well. So let's leave a short tail and place a slip knot on our hook. Okay, we're going to start off with chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now, if you know how I am when it comes to the center bottom of amigurumi, and we have a chain as our foundation base, I always like using the bumps, because when you use the bump, it helps fill in the gap when you have stitches on both sides. If you use one side and then 2, for some reason it just seems to spread open just a little too much for me. But everybody has their preference. I'm making a suggestion on what would be of your possible doing as well. So we're going to skip our first hump. We're going to go to our second hump. And underneath that, we're going to place 2 single crochets. So here's one. Be sure to use your stitch marker to mark that first one, and then a second one in the same space. Now, going under these humps does take a little finagling, especially with using black yarn. If you want to, you can always use the brown yarn, but I thought since it was sitting, the black would be a nice color for it to be sitting on, not the potato. All right, so we have 2. Now we're going to do 5 down the 5 chains. So that means 1 per chain. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And in our last chain, we're going to place 4 single crochets. Now before you go on and do what you would normally do, let me show you how I do the last one. Under the hump, I'm going to do 2. Now remember, we have 2 sides to our chain. So here's 2 single crochets. Okay, I'm going to pull the knot down and hold it down with my other fingers. And then the front side of the chain is going to get the other 2 single crochet. And that first one's going to hold that knot out of the way. So here's 1 and 2 in the same stitch. Okay, and you see, you can't really see the opening there. If I put my fingernail through it, yeah, it'll be just like any other stitch, because my fingernails are kind of long right now. Okay, so down along this side, 5 single crochets. And then in our last one, we're going to do 2 single crochets. 2 single crochets in the same stitch is known as an increase. So let's place our increase in that last stitch. The only thing I don't like about this black yarn is there is so much chemical something in it that it doesn't go smoothly through my fingers, and you can hear the noises on my hook. So, but we're only doing a little bit of it, so I ain't too worried about it. Okay, so let's go on to the next row. In our first stitch, 2 single crochets, and remember, always mark that first stitch. So here's 1 and 2. And in our next stitch, 2 single crochet for an increase. Five single crochets. Okay, so the next 4 stitches around will get an increase. So 4 increases. So 2 per stitch. Here's our first increase. Our second increase. Our third increase, and our fourth. Okay, and then we're going to do 5, so 1 per stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You should have 2 stitches left. We're going to do 2 increases, so increase in the first one and increase in the second one. Okay, we have 1 more row of black, I'm going to encourage you to pull out some more yarn for that. And then in this row we will be adding feet. Well, I got a little ahead of myself. This next row we'll start the bottom of the pants and our color changes. So on that very last stitch, let's go ahead and remove the loop. You should still have the loop and the loop that you brought up, and then bring your black yarn forward. Okay, remove your stitch marker, and we're going to add our yellow yarn. Okay, snug up the black just a little bit and bring it back over the yellow yarn. In the first stitch, we want to place a single crochet. And place your stitch marker. In the same stitch, carry the black and the yellow so that we can crochet over them, and that'll help lock that stitch in place. So, and then also pull up the tension a little bit on the yellow so that the stitches will be at the right height as we go on. Okay, so we have one increase. We're increasing in the next stitch. Okay, you can drop the yellow but carry the black. And in the next stitch, one single crochet. We're just going to draw up a loop and stop. Bring your yarn forward with the black, come through and finish the stitch. Okay, and then pull the tail or the working part of the yellow so that it finishes this stitch, so that it didn't get stretched out of shape. Then take the yellow and go over the top of the black and do a chain of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's stop right there so that we don't have a tangled up mess. Let's cut the yellow with about 2 inches of yarn there. Okay, let's go back. We're going to count down 3 chains. 1, 2, 3. Or you can count up 2. You want that third chain. And we're going to place 5 double crochets into this chain 3 space. So to do a double crochet, yarn over your hook, take your hook and go through the chain. It doesn't have to be the back hump. Draw up a loop. Okay, yarn over through 2 loops on the hook, yarn over through 2 loops on the hook. That completes 1 double crochet. So let's do 4 more in the same space that we put our first one in. So yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn through 2, yarn through 2. This is number 3. Number 4. And number 5. All right, enlarge your loop, take your hook out, and come back to your first double crochet and insert it into the top of those loops on that, and place that on your hook. pick up the loop that you enlarged and then tighten it and pull that loop through those top loops there. And what it does is it creates like a little bubble. Okay, we still have 2 chains here, but we're not going to go onto those chains. We're going to go over them. So take your hook and wrap it around and draw up a loop. Snug it up. There's 1. Let's do it again. Okay, and let's stop right there. We got 2 loops on our hook. We're going to stop and pick up our red. Of course, during filming, it all falls out of my lap. Okay, so we're going to place our red on our hook and complete that single crochet. Take the black, snug it up a little, and go over the top of the 2 reds, and then we're going to snug all of that together. Okay, then we're not worried about the yellow. We're going to take the black and the red, and we're going to go into the next stitch and complete a single crochet. Okay, and then come back in here and snug up all your stitches. Okay, so here we have our foot in between the colors of our pants. Now the black we're going to carry across, but the red we're going to cover over it 2 more stitches. So we're going to do a total of 7 across the 7 stitches that we have. So 1 per stitch. 1, 2, 3. You can drop the red tail from behind, but you want to carry the black so that we can pick it up over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and here's number 7. Now for number 7, we're just going to draw up a loop, bring our red in front of us. I find it's easier if you cut it while it's in front. And then take the black and finish the single crochet. Take the red and go over the top of the black yarn. And now let's chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yarn over. We're going to do our popcorn stitch. So into that 3rd chain, we're going to start our double crochet. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, enlarge your loop, count back to your first stitch, insert your hook, pull your loop through, tighten it up, and 2 single crochets onto the chain. There's 1, and then stop after you make your loop. Okay, so now we're going to pick up our blue and bring the blue to finish it off, the single crochet. Snuggle it up, bring the tail over the blue, And then we're going to, crochet over the tails as well. In the next stitch, 1 single crochet. Okay, and snug everything up. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We can let our tails go. 5, 6, and 7. Now on the 7th one, we want to change our yarn back to red, and then we'll do 7 single crochets across. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and on the 7th one, we're going to change to yellow. Okay, and in those last 2 stitches, 1 single crochet per stitch. All right, so this is what we have. Stretch it out just a little bit. This is what we have for right now. Okay, now all of you don't have to worry about tying knots, because if you've stitched over them, they're not going to go anywhere. They're going to stay right where they are. So you don't have to worry about them coming unraveled or anything. Okay, so let's move on to our next row. Let's take our stitch marker out. Okay, so in our first stitch, 1 single crochet. Remember to replace your stitch marker. Okay, so we have 2, 3, 4, and in our 5th stitch, we're going to change our color. So let's draw up a loop. And we're going to change it to red. Now I know you're thinking, oh my goodness, this is taking forever. We have 1 more row of color changes, and then after that you can say, whew, I did it. Okay, it is like a little cumbersome, I agree, but in the end it'll look really nice. So we're going to skip over the black leg here, and we're going to insert our hook. I usually go hook down so I can pick it up better, and go right through that first red one. And you want to bring your tails with you, the red and the yellow tail. And we're going to complete our first red single crochet. Okay, and then we're going to do a total of 7 red on this section right here. So here we got 1, 2, 3. Now you can drop your tails. 4, 5, 6, and 7. Remember, we're going to change to blue. So let's pick up our blue. And pull that through. My tail's a little short. Let me make it a little longer. And then take the red and go over all that. And then go over the black and into that first blue stitch, 1 single crochet. Okay, and we did 7 on the row before, so we're going to do 7 again this in in blue. 2, 3 stitches, so you can drop your tails. 4, 5, 6, and row 7. And back to red, where we're going to put 7 red single crochet. Okay, so here's our first. Remember, go over your tails. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now on to our yellow. And bring our red back over. If you're wondering why I bring the red back to the front and then back over after I've added it, it's because it adds where it will hide some of that color. So that way it doesn't look like you have spotted color. It helps. It doesn't take it 100% away, but it does help. Okay, so we want to finish this row with 2 yellow single crochets. 1 and 2. Remember, go over your tail. Okay, so that's the end of that row, and you'll notice that it's starting to cup, which is what we want it to do. You ready for the last row of color changes? I know you are. Okay, so this will be simple. This one we're going to start off with 5 single crochet in yellow. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now what I'm going to do is to close this up, I'm going to reach over the yellow right here. I'm going to go in between that yellow and red, and that'll help close that. Bring our yellow over. Okay, pull up our red. Bring that yellow over. Like I said, whenever you're on camera, it wants to do its own thing. Okay, so now we're going to do 7 in red. So here's 1. Let's snug up the red. See, so that tightens it up as well. There's 1, 2, 3. We can drop that yellow and red. 4, 5, 6, and we're going to do the same thing to this leg here too. Number 7. Yeah, this changing colors really gives your hands a workout. I know it's given mine a workout. Okay. So now let's move on to blue, and we are going to do 7 in blue as well. So we got our first stitch in blue. Let's tighten everything up. There's 1, 2, 3. We can drop our tails. 4, 5, 6, and number 7. Okay, now we're going to go to red. Okay, I forgot to snip. Okay, so pull the blue over. Okay, and here's our first single crochet in red. And we're going to do this in 7 reds. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now for the yellow, we're just going to be, whoops, I forgot to stop. For the yellow, we're just going to be doing 2 stitches, and then we're going to be switching to brown. And I know you're thinking, oh my gosh, the color changes are so close. It'll be fine. You got this. Okay, so pull our tails over. Let's do our first single crochet. There's 1, and there's 2. Oops, let me take that out. Okay, bring it forward. That helps lock it while it's not being used for anything. And you can let all of your red, yellows, and blues go. We're going to bring in our brown. Bring the yellow over. I know right now it's going to seem like a whole lot of going on. Remove your first stitch marker. Okay. And then first stitch of your brown. And then tug on your tails there. Snug them all up. Let's do a second one. And we can put our stitch marker back into our first row. Okay. This is what you should have. Cute, isn't it? All right. So for this row, we're going to do 28 single crochet. Now I'm not going to show you 28 single crochet. You know what 28 single crochets look like. So I'm going to encourage you to do 28 single crochet, but we're going to do this for 4 rows. So 1, 2, 3, 4. When you get to your 4th row, go ahead and stop. It'll probably be about this tall, and we'll be moving on to the next row. And one more thing, all your ends that are in here, do not cut them. That'll be part of the stuffing as well as when it comes time to stuff it, and we're not ready to stuff it yet. As you can see, I've already done 3 single crochet on the next row. Oh, she didn't wait for us? Sorry. I ran out of yarn. I didn't want you to see me have to fiddle with it. So, what we're going to do is we're at this point on our monster here. So we're going to chain 15. We're going to do our popcorn. And then we're going to come back down inside the stitches, not around them, but use each chain as that foundation for our single crochet. Okay, so be sure to do your first 3 single crochets right here, and then we're going to chain 15. 1, 2, 3. Well, you don't need to watch me chain 15, so go ahead and chain 15 and I'll meet you there. Please pause your video. Make sure it's not twisted. Okay, and then we're going to count back 3, not the loop on the hook, but the completed chain. So 1, 2, 3. So into that 3rd chain, we're going to do our double crochets. We're going to place 5 in that stitch. So there's 1. Here, let me put that over. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and here's number 5. Okay, so enlarge your loop and bring it on back to your first double crochet. Okay, just like you were going to place a stitch in, but pick up the loop that we enlarged, pull it through, snug it up, then come back here and we're going to go place the single crochets down the remaining part, and I believe it's 12. Yeah, 12 single crochets down this chain. Now you don't have to use the bump. That's your preference if you do. Oops, hang on, hang on. Stop everything. I forgot. Of course, we have to loop this guy first. So let's do a slip stitch. What you want to do is you want to come straight down. So right here, 1, 2, 3 on the yellow. Make sure it's not twisted. We're going to do a slip stitch on that 3rd one. So go place your hook on one side of the stitch and go up underneath it, and then drop a loop. Let me see if we can get everything out of the way. Drop your loop and pull it through the stitches and that loop on the hook, and that'll keep the bottom of this right here. Okay, and then, oops, I put it on the wrong side. Don't do like me, huh? Okay, let's take the yarn and go on the outside. There we go. Make sure he's not twisted. come over here to the third one, go through, do a slip stitch. There we go. Now we can start going into the chain and placing one single crochet in each chain till we get back to the row, till we get back to here. I know you think I'm crazy, huh? It's all good. So go ahead and do that and place your one stitch, the next one over, right here, and I'll meet you there. Don't cuss me out, please. All right, I haven't gotten to the body part yet, but I wanted to show you. I ended up with 11. I guess somewhere down here I missed a stitch, but if you get 11, that's fine. So here's the last single crochet before we did our chain 15. So we want to go into the next stitch. Okay, so here we have our little guy doing his Okay, so we are going to go across 13 stitches, and then we're going to do the same thing with the chain 15, the 5 popcorn, the slip stitch down onto the third one over, 1, 2, 3, and then go up our chain, and we'll come back around and do 12. Okay, can you do that? I think you can. And I'll meet you at the end of the row. All right, the guilt got the best of me. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah. And then 15, chain 15. Okay, so chain your 15 and do your popcorn and come on down. I mean, the third, 1, 2, 3. The third from the blue or the red, your slip stitch, and then 12. This row is just as hard as changing colors, wasn't it? I am so sorry. But when all of this is said and done, you will be so happy because it will be the cute little monster that you wanted to create. So here we are at the end of the row. Yay! Here's your hands. Alrighty. So after all that wonderful stuff that we've just done, let's decrease. So to do a decrease, you pick up the front loop of the stitch, okay, and of the second stitch. Bring a loop through those 2 loops. So we have 2 loops on the hook. And what we've done was we've decreased it from 2 to 1 stitch. In our next stitch, just 1 single crochet. Now we're going to go over the hands. And if you look at it here, we have this little tiny hole, but it'll be okay. And that's where we want to place our next stitch. Okay, so single crochet and then decrease. And then we're going to do a repeat of 1, 1, and then decrease. We're going to do that 2 times. So single crochet, and decrease. Single crochet, and decrease. We have 2 left, so 2 single crochet. On the other side of the next arm, we're going to decrease. So you want to pick up the front loop and the front loop of the next stitch and snug it up and complete that decrease. Okay, and we're going to repeat what we just did. So we're going to do, let's see, which one did we pick? This one. So we're going to do 2 single crochet and decrease. Okay, 2 single crochet and decrease. So at the end of this row, we have 2 single crochet. Okay, if you count your stitches around, you should have 21 stitches. And with that said, we're going to do 2 rows of 21 stitches, so the 2 times around. So do that. Please pause your video and I'll meet you there. So this is what we have so far after the 2 rows of 21. Our next row will be a repeat row of 2 single crochets, and a decrease. We're going to do that 5 times. You should have 1 stitch left where you will place a single crochet. So the repeat, single crochet, decrease. Continue that around, and then your last stitch will be a single crochet. So with all those decreases, that took us down to 16 stitches. So our next row will be 16 single crochets. Just 1 row, 16 single crochets. So continue around and I'll meet you there. So at the end of the 16 stitches, let's enlarge our loop and start stuffing our guy. I like to push it down into the corners first. Sometimes my hair goes with it because I do have long hair. So let's stuff them down in there. Now the reason why I'm continuing to show this is because what I do is once I get, here, let me pull my yarn out a little. Once I get my yarn down in there, I like to take my fingers and go down and form it around the sides. It does create a center, but it's easier to stuff that center than it is to get the shape that you need for the sides and everything. So go ahead and try that way of stuffing, and then you can put more. Now don't put too much in there. because what we're going to do is we also have the eyes to put on. So I'm going to stuff it up to the arm level, which I'm not up there yet. That'll go into the center of that hole I made. Okay, that seems to be what I'm looking for. Then I grab my eyes. Now where we're at, we're going to count down 3 rows. 1, 2, 3. Right here, I'm going to place an eye. And across, I'm going to place another eye. Let's see if that looks right. Looks like it needs to go over one more. There. I don't know. Yeah, I guess that looks right. Because once we put the cups on them, it'll draw it in just a little bit. So you want to have that little gap in between. Now you can make them googly. You can make them straight across. You can make them twist and turn. Whatever you choose to do. Now, for me, because I did have surgery on my hand, I can't punch these like I'm supposed to. So I have this jig called the Safety Eye Helper. So I'm going to place this part into this hole, and that way I can punch down the eye into the Safety Eye cup, which is already in there. So let me move all of this stuff out of the way, and then put that Safety Eye cup over the hole. And I punched it twice. See how it's in there? So let's see if we can get that other eye. Oh, see, he's going up just a little bit, which I'm okay with. 1, 2, 3. We can have him going all over the place. It doesn't have to be exact. It is a monster. Okay. And then use the Safety Eye jig to hold it in place. And there we go. At least my left hand works nicely. And so here we have our eyes, all attached. All right, now, since we do have the eyes attached, let's go ahead and stuff it some more. Not all the way to the top, but stuff what you can't stuff down here. And then we have one more row of crochet to do, and then we can start doing the face. So let's go ahead and stuff this first. Okay, so I stuffed it to my liking, and I'm about 2 rows down. Okay, our last row will have decreases in it, but we don't want to seal it up just yet. Okay, so let's go ahead and remove our stitch marker. Okay, so we're going to start off with a decrease. And then our next stitch is a single crochet, decrease, single crochet, decrease, single crochet, okay, and then decrease, and then we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And in this stitch that we just did our decrease, we want to place a single crochet into it. Doesn't matter where, just as long as you single crochet into that decrease. Okay, the next stitch is a single crochet and a decrease. A single crochet. We're going to remove our stitch marker and we're going to do a decrease. Okay, chain 4 and single crochet into that decrease. Okay, let's slip stitch into the next stitch. Alright, we want to leave the yarn probably about 8-10 inches long. Now, this is where some people will take their crochet hook and go in and out of all these stitches, or you can do like I'm going to do and use my needle. I prefer to use the needle, even though we're at the end of the row, we're done with our crocheting. Okay, so we're going to go in and out and in and out, and we're going to go through the decrease, and then we're going to go in and out. Now, when you pull your yarn through, pull it so that it doesn't pull it tight just yet. Leave it open because we still have more stuffing to do. So we're going to go in and out and through. That decreases again to where we began. All right, and let's stuff this so that we can have it up to the top here. Whoops, I'm out of the picture. So we can stuff this right here. We want it to look like this when it's finished. Okay, so let's go ahead and add some more stuffing, and then I'll show you how to close it off. Now, the amount of stuffing that you put in here is going to vary from what you have already put in to what you see me putting in. Remember to stuff nicely behind those eyes too. Okay, I think I'm full enough to where I want my monster to look like this. Okay, so now that we have that, let's go ahead and pull that string. Remember to pull your chain 4s out so they don't get locked in there. Okay, and then go under, okay, you see how the 2 little ears coming out? We're going to go over the top, and I'm going to go through it there that one more time. And then in the very back, we just want to do like a knot stitch, an overhand knot. So here we have a loop, pull it through the loop, tighten the loop. But come down to the next row and weave your stitches, or your needle, in between those stitches. In my opinion, it helps keep this loose end from working its way out later. Okay, and then go down and pull through here. And then snip away. There you go. So here we have our little monster. The next thing we're going to do is put our mouth on him, and then he will be completed. So I added about 12 inches onto my needle, and I'm going to come in about 2 or 3 rows up, and I am going to, oops, I need to come down one more. Second row up, I want to come over to where the side of the eye is, and I'm going to bring my needle out. Now if you choose to do a different style mouth, please do that. I want you to be happy with the look of your monster. Okay, so for the end ones, I have found in making these that you need to go through the end ones twice. So I went the length of the stitch, and now I'm going to come across, go in a straight line to the other side. Whoops. Up. Actually, I went across to where it's up, so that the smile is going up. Okay, and of course your polyfill is going to follow you, so you just want to pluck that out. And then this one, we're going to go down. So we're going to go the length of the stitch, and we're going to go do that twice. 1 and 2. And then we're going to come up through that same hole, and then we're going to come across. Now before you go to where we stopped and started at, we want to hold this long one down. This is really too long because you can pull on it and break it. So we're going to take our needle and come across a few stitches. I'm on one side of it. I'm going to go over it and go into the same hole and go down a few stitches and go over it, down through the same hole, and then come out through the hole that I originally came in through. Okay, now before everything is all said and done here, make sure that everything is snugged up, that you don't need to loosen or tighten anything. And then place a square knot. I'm going to snip that down, and I'm going to take my crochet hook and go in between some stitches and come up into that same hole where the knot is at, and then take those straggly little ends and pull them in, and then try to bury them in there. Okay, and let's go place some white up here. So I'm going to pause, thread my needle with some white, probably about 8 inches long, and then we'll start on our teeth. Alright, we're going to use the same idea coming down below in between the stitches. And what I like to do when making these teeth is I like to make so that they have like a little triangle look. So I'm going to come across a stitch. I'm going to go down and go onto the other side of that same stitch and then go up. And then I'm going to come over here, making sure that it's close to the black line. And then not too tight. But see how it kind of gives it a toothy look? And then we're going to go over. And then down. we're going to come back out the same hole we went in. So we have 2 teefies. Tie it off. And then bury the knot. And we are done with our little monster. Oops, I went too far with that one, didn't I? Let's bury that again. Sometimes it happens. It's okay. Like I said, sometimes it doesn't want to go in there too. No, no, don't bury me. Come on now. Come on. There we go. And we got our little furry ends that want to show their remnants of it. Anyway, so here's our little monster. So I hope you enjoyed this little crochet tutorial on how to make these potato monsters with their pants and their boots, and they're like attitude looking. They're so cute. I hope you enjoyed making them. If you do like them, you know, hope you tag me so I can see what you've made. So, until next time, bye-bye. Hope to see you again.